Well, right now I am deboning a boiled chicken for chicken and noodles and mashed potatoes. That sounds like an old-timey dish, doesn't it? So while I'm sitting here, I'm going to watch some Cuphead. We're going to do a little side-eye review.
That's a good one.
So Cuphead is one of the best platforming video games that has come out in the past, when did it come out? I know it was announced forever ago, and it was highly anticipated because of its unique style in animating everything in the old-fashioned sort of Flesher-style cartoon production, with models, everything being on ink and hand-drawn. They originally tried to figure out how to paint the cells and digitize them. Unfortunately, they had to, because it's just so time consuming. They had to go through and digitally color everything. That's okay. That's okay because they managed to pull it off and make everything look just wonderful. Not only a really good-looking game, but a really engaging game based on just like the different characters. Like people really fell in love with all the denizens of the Inkwell Islands. So naturally, a TV series was planned.
You got a real creepy way about you, lady. I don't get out much.
The story is pretty simple. It doesn't really follow the storyline of the game, in which Cuphead gambles his life away at one of Satan's like shady casinos. In this, they had to tone it down. There's a little bit of sanitization with the concepts. I mean, you can show like booze and alcohol. I don't know. I guess you can't. I'm thinking about the new Pinocchio movie. They changed the alcohol to root beer. Made it seem like, oh, okay, that's really bad stuff. What's the point of arguing against vices and when you can't depict them? Okay, now. Anyway, they had to sanitize a few things. Instead of the Devil's Casino, it's the Devil's. It's a carnival.
Carnival. Con-evil.
Which is a little weird because there's always like a carnival or a theme park going through town. You think people would avoid them altogether. There's one episode where both him and the devil end up back in a carnival. In one of my favorite episodes.
You know what's worse than finding half a worm in your apple?
What?
Falling in a sewer. I saw a smile.
You most certainly did not.
But anyway, other than that, they did a pretty good job at trying to figure out where everyone would occupy the world of the Inkwell Island as compared to the video game. In the video game, they're bosses. They clearly have some sort of backstory. Like naturally the theater, the woman who runs the theater, stage fright Sally? No, that's not right. Something stage Sally. And you fight her during one of her plays. It's a fantastic fight sequence where they use the staging as sort of like a tribute to Final Fantasy. In this, she's not so much a bad guy. She's just kind of she owns a theater, and that's an odd diversion or deviation from her character. Naturally, she does have a run-in with Cuphead and everything. The two Frog brothers, they don't wear they wear business suits instead of their fighting gis, and they're trying to become legitimate business people because their dear old mother doesn't like them fighting, so they've put that behind them. Even though I guess that's how they made their money. The pig guy who owns the store that you buy all your power-ups from. He basically kind of fits into like a Squidward position, and he either sells them stuff or gives them like errands to run in order to get him out of his hair.
Nah, I don't care about you or your handle. I just ate a rank fish sandwich.
So it's really fun. You get to explore and expand upon these personalities that you got hints of during the actual video game. There's one episode where they meet Marina, the Gorgon mermaid girl, and it turns out that the captain has a crush on her, and also Mugman has a crush on her. So, also the voice actress is Nadia from What We Do in the Shadows, the TV series, and she does a great job.
I'm sorry. What What was your name again?
Briny Beard! We went on a date, we had the seafood pasta, and for dessert, we had...
Tiramisu.
The only person who is like a one-for-one, I would imagine, is the Devil, who is just a really great breakaway character. He doesn't own any of the souls of the various characters that you fight in the video game. He's just mainly after like the denizens of Inkwell Island, like the little guys. And of course, when he tries to get Cuphead's soul, Cuphead manages to outluck him and outmaneuver him, and just it's a whole complication.
Give me your
So the whole arc of this first season, and I use that term loosely for reasons that I will explain later, the whole arc is just basically get Cuphead, get his soul, because he made a fool out of the Devil. Also, King Dice, played by Brady, and he does amazing job at just being like this sleazy game show host. Again, they had to sort of sanitize it, and if they win the show, then they win just internal damnation. It's kind of like that one episode of Rocko's Modern Life where Peaches tries his best to get Heifer to win the game and lose his soul, but he just keeps screwing up. The reason why I keep referring to this as one season, even though I think it's 3 different seasons on Netflix, is because there were some shenanigans involving the production studio and Netflix. They ordered all of the episodes all at once, but it was delivered in 3 different batches, or it was released in 3 different batches. Usually Netflix likes to put everything they have up all at once, like any quote-unquote seasons of production. Whenever they get that done, they will then just load it all up. It's become a problem for like binging, because people binge the episodes and then they forget all about like shows and then move on to something else, rather than like the traditional TV schedule of releasing it once a week, having your audience marinate in it, and then having them come back for more because they're anticipating the next episode. So anyway, they kind of screwed over the production team by insinuating that these were 3 separate seasons, when in actuality it was just one batch of ordering all the episodes at once. And because of that, they sort of screwed them out of funding. So that's a little scummy of Netflix. Then on the other end, people were pissed off because the show didn't look exactly like video game. Like the video game was like drawn with, again, the old 1930s, 1920s Fleischer style to try and emulate the period of animation. And then when there wasn't a direct one-to-one between that and the TV series, people were like, oh man, this is a huge ripoff. Not knowing that was extremely labor-intensive, the video game. And also, you know what? The video game's different. The video game, you have repeating patterns of animations. Like, a running cycle doesn't change. Meanwhile, the TV show, you can't just show the same running cycle again. Then everyone would complain the same way they did about Flash animation. Or the Filmation studio. Like, oh man, they use the same animation over and over again. Well, that's what Fleischer did. First of all, I just think it looks great. They've got some fantastic storyboard artists who worked on this. Most notably, the one guy who made Becky Prim.
You don't like Sheldon? Ugh, boo. You know how I feel about overblown and unrealistic nerd stereotypes.
Hey, Becky.
He does a lot of work with SpongeBob now. But anyway, he's an amazing illustrationist. His character designs are fantastic, his expressions are wonderful, and he works on the show. There is also a fantastic use of models in this series. Again, I don't know if they're CGI to just look like models or if they're actually models. But again, it's a huge throwback to those classic Fleischer style production. Then there are moments that look like they are traditionally hand-painted. There's one part where the devil, summons his strongest minions, and they all just look like those old-fashioned, look like monsters that Superman would have fought in like those Flesher animated series. Again, I cannot imagine anyone like saying, looking at this cartoon and looking at the detail that's there and being disappointed. So yeah, unfortunately, as great as this show is, there are a few sort of controversies around it. Not even within the show itself. The show is just great. It's super charming. It's a little wackier at times than I would care for. There's also complaints. I think that they were reviewing people. Story wasn't very deep, like the storyline, which is bullshit. Because if you actually watch the entire season, there's this huge arc, which I am going to go into spoilers now by depicting the timeline of the entire series, why it's so good.
Mugbeard dies in the end.
The first chunk of the shows basically starts with Cuphead making a fool out of the devil. The devil is just like, I want Cuphead. So he spends an entire season trying to get Cuphead. The end of that first season, you're introduced to Miss Chalice, who's of course voiced by Greg Delisle, and she does a fantastic job. It turns out that she is also very different from the Miss Chalice in the video game. The video game, it was weird. She's like some sort of ghost, maybe Greek goddess or something. In this, she's just like a little, she's a tramp. She lives off of her wit and her charm. That's their big way of like shoving in as much of the video game as they can, because the cartoon's not a platform shooter. So they keep using the word charm over and over again in her songs. Because you use charms when you're playing the video game. Those are your power-ups.
You can get anything by turning up the charm.
So anyway, there's this big cliffhanger where it's revealed that she still has ghost powers, somehow. Another 2/3 of the season goes by until it is revealed that Miss Chalice was run over by a bus, made a deal with the devil, that she could return to the corporeal plane for a favor to be cashed in at a later date. That favor is to trick Mugman and Cuphead into basically selling their souls. She, of course, has this tremendous change of heart and refuses to help the devil. The devil is, of course, defeated. I will not tell you how it is done in this video because I feel that it is so ludicrously funny that you should probably look into it yourselves.
Shut up!
It is both climactic and anticlimactic at the same time. Who am I missing? Oh, I guess I should talk about Elder Kettle. I don't like his weird nipple feet. He's a great sort of older character, tries his best to advise Mugman and Cuphead.
Hey!
You're not playing with my lucky tire again, are you?
Of course not, dearest Kettle.
I don't know how old they are in this series. I guess they're still teenagers. Am I looking at that right? Am I thinking, because they're not old enough to be on their own. They don't have jobs. Yeah, I guess I'm guessing teenagers. It's really innocuous. But anyway, Elder Kettle's great, but there's like lots of great stories involving him trying to basically teach his kids a lesson.
It's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star!
They haven't like canceled it, but production is over on this first batch of episodes. Again, it's 3 seasons worth of work done in 1 season. Feels like this would probably be a good place to like leave it where it is. And I think both fans and Netflix would be happy with like, oh, hey, here's this series that's just right here. I don't know what other kind of stories they could tell. Like, people were really upset that there wasn't this grand story being told based off a video game. I guess they wanted like a go on the quest adventure type of story. Something similar to the video game. When in reality, it was more like a slice of life. Featuring these 2 weird cup people, which ironically they bitched about that early on, and then it turned out to be an actual really deep story about Mugman and Cuphead and Miss Chalice learning about the true value of friendship. In a weird way, you even feel a little bit bad for the devil. He may actually, like Cuphead.
Ah, how delightfully unexpected.
They gave him layers in this, and I think in another story there could have been an actual like redemption arc. I mean, they could totally do that. There's the DLC story that they could totally mine for more content.
Oh no.